There is one sentence in Rich Dad, Poor Dad that changed how I see money forever, and if you understand it, it can change your life too. Today we're diving into lesson number 1, the first of 6 lessons that made Robert Kiyosaki rich. So stay focused with me, because after this video you will never look at money the same way. Hey, welcome back. You're watching RobReads and this is your friend Robert. I read books so you don't have to, and I explain them in a simple way so you get the benefit of these books without reading them. So if that sounds good for you, subscribe to my channel. In the previous video, we talked about the introduction. If you haven't watched it yet, I highly recommend you go back and watch it first. And we ended the video at a very powerful moment where the rich dad told Robert, I'm gonna teach you the first lesson that will make you rich. And honestly, this first lesson changed my life. Now, I'm not gonna sit here and tell you I'm rich. That would be a lie. Wealth doesn't happen overnight, and anyone saying otherwise is selling something, and you already know that, I'm sure. But my whole perspective on money changed. The way I think, the way I plan, the way I see the future, all of it shifted. So here's lesson number 1. The rich don't work for money. Money works for them. A wealthy person isn't waking up every morning clocking in 6, 8, 10, 12 hours a day, 6 days a week to get a paycheck at the end of the month. That's not their life. They own things that work for them even when they are not working. Businesses, bonds, stocks, shops, real estates, or even something like a book. You write it once and it keeps selling for years. That's money working for you while you sleep. See, I used to believe that my job was the biggest asset. So I was focused in finding a good job that pays well. So my plan was very simple. Take more courses, work hard, level up, and earn a bigger salary. That was the plan. That was my whole vision of the future. But to be honest, there was this idea bugging me that all the work I'm doing, all the effort is making someone else rich, not me. So one day I left my job and started creating content. And that was the best decision I have ever made. Now, I'm not saying you should quit your job tomorrow. I'm not saying that at all. But what I'm saying is, if your goal is to be financially free, you need to start planning for a future where you can quit, where you don't need a paycheck at the end of the month to survive. Because wealthy people don't sit around thinking, how can I get a better salary? They think, how do I become the one who pays the salary? And that's the difference in the two mindsets. Let's go back to the Rich Dad, Poor Dad story. So after Robert agreed to work for free at the Rich Dad's store, he went home and didn't say a word to his poor dad about it. Because he knew his dad wouldn't understand, and even Robert didn't understand why he's working for free, so he preferred not to say a word about it. For 3 weeks, Mike and Robert worked for 3 hours every Saturday for free. Then one Saturday, they saw Mike's dad, the rich dad, walk into the store. And this was the first time they saw him show up in person. He hugged Mrs. Martin, the manager, and headed to the ice cream freezer and grabbed 2 ice creams for the boys, Robert and Mike, and told them, let's go for a walk. They ended up at a nearby park, just the 3 of them sitting on a bench eating ice cream. The rich dad looked at them and asked, how is everything, boys? How is working for free going? They told him everything was fine, things were good, so the rich dad continued. Look, boys, I'm trying to teach you a lesson here. If you learn it, you will have a great life. If you don't, you will end up like Mrs. Martin. She's 45 years old and she works hard, really hard. For what? For a small paycheck every month and the illusion of job security, and for a 2 weeks off to pretend she's free. I don't want that for you, kids. But if a salary excites you, I'm willing to pay you. Not 10 cents this time. I'm willing to pay you 25 cents an hour. What do you say, kids? Robert shook his head. 25 cents sounded really good, but he knew it was a trap, so he refused. Okay, instead of 25 cents, I'm gonna pay you $1 an hour. What do you say? Robert's heart started to race. His brain was screaming, take it, you fool, take it. The temptation was high, but the 2 boys refused. Okay, what about $5 an hour? What do you say? Take it or leave it. Robert Kiyosaki said here that when he heard this offer, his heart stopped. $5 in 1956. This offer was insane. The rich dad was testing them, of course, and the two boys knew that, so they refused. Good. The rich dad started to explain the lesson that he wanted the two boys to learn, and I want you to really focus because this is very important. So, the rich dad said, most people have a price. They have a price because of two emotions, fear and greed. First, the fear of not having money pushes them to work hard. Then once they get that paycheck, greed or desire kicks in and they start thinking about the wonderful things money can buy. When I was reading about greed and fear, I remember something that happened with my friend 2 weeks ago. I was trying to convince him to invest $150 in stocks instead of spending it on useless stuff. He, like everyone else, doesn't know where his money is going. So we talked about it and he was excited about the idea and told me that he will buy his first stock once he receives his next paycheck. So at the beginning of this month, I texted him and asked him if he invested the $150 and he told me no, so I asked him why. So here's why. He told me that the World Cup is coming in the next 2 months and he needs a bigger screen to watch the games. So he ended up buying a $650 TV instead of investing only $150. For one small moment, he was ready to let that money work for him, but then the desire for a bigger screen got to him, and just like that, the money was gone. And to be honest, my friend is not the only one. Think about the people around you, the ones who wake up every single day, go to work, come back home tired, and repeat the cycle. Do you think they love what they do? Because let me tell you something, it's not love that's keeping them at work. It's fear. The fear of what happens if I don't go? What happens if the bills pile up? What happens if I can't provide? So they go, not because they wanted to, but because they are scared not to. And once they get paid, the other emotion shows up, desire. And listen, there is nothing wrong with wanting more. The rich dad said, desire is completely natural. Wanting something better, something more fun, something more exciting is part of being a human. But the problem is, the joy of the new TV will fade. It always does. And when it does, a new desire will show up. A desire for a new home, a desire for a new phone, a vacation, or something else. And the money that could have been working for him is already gone. So what does he do? He goes back to work, earns the salary, spends it, and goes back to work. Fear and desire. Desire and fear. That's what keeps you trapped forever. Now you might be thinking, okay, so what's the solution? Do I stop working until fear and desire disappears? No, not at all. Emotions are what makes us a human. You're not supposed to get rid of them. Fear and desire are always going to be there. That's just life. The real skill is learning to be an observer to your emotions rather than a reactor to them. What does that mean exactly? Let me explain. Think about my friend with the TV. The moment he got his paycheck, desire kicked in and he just reacted. No pause, no question, just I want that big screen, so I'm getting the big screen. He didn't think, he reacted, and most of us do the same thing. So the goal is to pause, notice what you're feeling, and then decide what you will do with your head, not your heart. And that right there is what the rich dad wanted to teach the boys. At the end of the conversation, the rich dad said something very important. He said, work for free and keep using your brain, and soon your mind will show you ways of making money far beyond what I could ever pay you. You will start seeing things that other people completely miss. After that, the boys went back to the store and kept on working there for 2 weeks. They kept thinking about what the rich dad said about letting money work for them and what's the way to do this. Then one day they got their answer. While they were working on the store, a delivery truck pulled up, a comic book distributor. He dropped off a fresh batch of comics for Mrs. Martin and then handed her an extra box of comics on the side. These are free promotional copies, he said. They are just for display. You cannot sell them. Robert and Mike went straight to Miss Martin and asked her, "What do you usually do with these copies?" "We usually keep them in the back storage room, and sometimes we give them to our loyal customers as a gift." The two boys sat and started to think what they could do with these comics. How could they actually benefit from them? And then the idea hit them. They ran back to Mrs. Martin and asked if they could take the comics. So Mrs. Martin told them they could take them, but they are not allowed to sell them. After that, Mike and Robert took the comic books to Mike's house and used the spare room. They cleaned it out, put some shelves, and just like that, they opened a comic book library. They told their friends at school, they spread the word at their neighborhood. The deal was simple: 10 cents to walk in, and you can sit and read whatever you like for 2 hours from 12:30 to 4:30. It was a bargain for the kids since a comic book cost 10 cents each, and they could read 5 or 6 comic books in 2 hours. So the kids came flooding in. Robert and Mike were making more than $9 a week. They even hired Mike's sister to run the library and paid her $1 a week. Money was working for them while they were busy working somewhere else for free. Anyway, the business ran for 3 months, but one day a fight broke between some of the kids, so Mike's dad recommended they shut down the business. And so the comic library closed, but the rich dad was happy, not because they made money, because they figured out a way to let money work for them even when they weren't there. That's the lesson the rich dad wanted to teach the boys. The rich don't work for money, money works for them. And that's what I want you to walk away with today. Stop seeing your job as the destination. Use it as a bridge if you need to, but start thinking, how do I build something that makes money work for me? Now let me be real with you for a second. I'm not sitting here telling you I figured it all out. I'm on the same journey as you. But one thing I did do is take a small step. I built a quiz app, an app called RobQuiz Play. People can download it for free, play for free, play quizzes like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, Hangman, crosswords, and hundreds of quizzes, and ads run in the background. Those ads pay me, even when I'm asleep. Is it making me rich? Not really, but that's not the point. The point is, it is working without me. Your thing doesn't have to be an app, it could be anything. A small business, a skill you sell online, a book, a podcast, anything you want, anything that can generate money while you're asleep. And that was lesson number 1. The rich don't work for money, money works for them. If this video added something to your day, hit the like button. And if you want to watch lesson number 2, hit subscribe so you don't miss it. I'm sharing videos every Tuesday and Saturday. So hopefully I see you there. Thank you for watching.